Welcome back to Hot Seat with Anna, where experts get grilled until the truth come out. And today's guest is Chris King, former corporate exec turned bad boy, performance accelerator, and neuroscience coach, but also known as executive witch doctor and public speaker. So Chris works with neuroscience. So he's kind of positioned as neuroscience, neuroperformance coach. Does it really work? Chris, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, yeah, I think bringing a science-backed approach to this, because what we do seems like it is the seemingly impossible, and that's kind of the lane that we practice in. We don't really do the standard leadership development or team building. I don't fix culture problems. I don't put out dumpster fires. We get hired when a client has some really lofty goals, and usually they seem like they cannot be done. And so it is kind of a magical sort of thing. And so having that science-backed approach is like, no, this is just a function of science. And so once we somebody understands how that works, it's scalable. Personality doesn't scale, but science does. So there's nothing magical about me, but the science that we bring is where it really happens.
So you kind of call yourself a performance accelerator. I love it. Sounds glamorous. But isn't that kind of coaching rebranded for people who hate the word coaching? There is a lot of like
Yeah.
negative perception of coaching as being kind of a waste of money a little bit. So is this performance accelerator just a different label for the same thing?
Well, yeah, everything's marketing, right? But it does speak to a specific lane, right? Saying a coach, coaching is coaching, right? It you could be the divorce coach, you could be the business coach, you could be the life coach, coaching is coaching. And so having a clear understanding of what is it that I'm getting here, I think that makes a big difference. And I don't really like the word coach, like a lot of people. I'm not a fan. I think it's very generic and it's kind of watered down. I think it has some credibility issues. And consultant is kind of the same way, where it's like, okay, it's very generic. And so it's like, what am I getting here when I sit down with you? You're gonna get optimization of your entire human system. And so that's what we're doing.
Great. So your method, as far as I understand, focuses mostly on neurobiology and on kind of flow, creating a flow. So
Mhm.
what's the toughest mindset block you've seen in your clients, and how do you break it?
The biggest thing that I deal with clients is the limited thinking, and more accurately the linear thinking. Because in our work, we are offering exponential gains and increases in whatever that means to the client. It could be a pivot or disruption. We hear that a lot. It could be innovation. Um, but I think you cannot get exponential gains by linear thinking. And so KPIs and market trends and sales history, that's all great, but it's completely irrelevant as far as we're concerned.
It kind of goes hand in hand, telling your clients to renegotiate their existence,
hmm
whatever it means. So what happens when they realize that they don't like the new you, basically, what they've become when they do renegotiate their existence? What happens then?
I don't know. It's never happened. I've never renegotiated somebody in the wrong direction, so.
Interesting. Confident. Don't know if it's true, but let's see. So you also say personal growth starts with personal destruction. So what part of yourself did you have to destroy to become this version of you? What went wrong?
Uh, I had to, for me, and this is an ongoing process. The thing about work like this is there's no there. Like, it's not a destination at which to arrive, it's a manner in which to travel. And so, even recently, coming face to face with the delta between who I thought I was and who I was really showing up as, like that's a disturbing awareness, when I have an idea of who I am and what I'm about. And even if I know something, there's a very big difference there's a small difference between knowing and not knowing, right? One gamma wave spike, one aha moment. The delta between knowing and doing is a much bigger leap. And then the biggest leap is the doing to embodying, like really being that thing. And so yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I've known, and when I've come to the crossroads where I realized, yeah, I might know it, but I'm not being it. That's a rude awakening and a wonderful opportunity to pivot.
Mm. I think neuroscience, the way you are using it, is kind of about hacking your brain for performance. I think it's fast summary. So
Mhm.
what was the puzzle breakdown that forced you to hack the system, your own system first? Like where did it all start?
Oh, wow. So it goes way back. I think it really started after my second divorce. That's when I had to take a look in the mirror and say, okay, all of my relationships have number one, I have a 100% failure rate, and number two, they all have one thing in common, me. And so while a lot of things in my past, like my childhood, for example, I would say a lot of that isn't my fault, quote unquote. All of it is still my responsibility. And so after my second divorce, I thought, you know, maybe I don't have this all figured out, and I still have some learning to do. And learning is a function of deconstructing things. It's retrocasting and giving myself an honest audit about where I've been, what I've done, how did I get here. And again, this is something that I still do even today. And so it's like, all right, every time I run into a wall of life and I'm like, all right, what did I do? How did I get myself here? What do I need to do to disentangle this and pivot moving forward so I can realign myself? And I think that's the thing, is that it's not about good or bad or right or wrong. It's a function of aligned or misaligned. And it's that binary and it's that simple. And so if we can get out of the judgment of right and wrong and good and bad, then we can look through it at the lens of aligned or misaligned with the experience I want to have or the goals I'm trying to achieve.
Interesting. So you're holding yourself accountable. I've been divorced 3 times. I totally think it's not my fault. The only common denominator is poor husbands. So
Which you
nothing to do
chose,
with
right?
me. Well, yeah, I was too busy to consider, but some of them were good for a while, but yeah. But every coach kind of always preaches accountability. It's about holding your client accountable for their results, what they do. So who calls you out when you don't hit your own goals? Do you have goals?
Yeah, yeah. I have a whole army of people. I mean, I have a very good network of guy friends that will tell me when I'm full of shit, and so that's always refreshing. Um, and we agree not to be nice to each other. We'll be kind, but we're not going to be nice. We're not going to coddle each other. We're going to say, "Hey, man, you're messing up here." And so that's helpful. I have a couple of coaches that I work with, a therapist that I talk to from time to time. So it's, what we say in this work is the best coaches have coaches. And I advise anybody who goes down the road of looking for a coach, ask that coach if they have a coach. If the answer is no, don't hire that coach.
Interesting. I heard it once about therapists as well. Ask your therapist if they have a therapist. If not, they're not a good therapist. So that's an interesting thought. But when does like this self-optimization become self-obsession? Where's your cutoff between high performance and burnout? Because there is like no limit to perfection. So you can always push yourself and push yourself. And obviously, we all want to perform and deliver. But where do you hit that stage where you kind of burn out and it's kind of becomes a self-obsession or this, self-optimization?
If you do it right, there is no burnout. Because you have to train for this correctly. Think of it like an F1 race car.
Mm,
That car doesn't get burned out on the track because of what they do with it when it's not on the track. For every hour that it's on the track, it's probably in the garage for a day. The same with any high performance machine, a,
mm,
a, a fighter jet or something. For every hour in the air, it's, tens or hundreds of hours on the ground. And so high performance doesn't mean going full throttle and redlining all the time. It
mm,
means completely optimizing your human system, understanding what its limits are, what its tolerances are, understand what just everything about it. Like when do you perform best, in the day? Like when is your big brain and when is your creative brain? When do you need to rest? Understanding, um, how the system works and what its tolerances and capabilities are. I mean, you hit on it earlier, I mean, it is a system. And any system can be hacked if you understand how that system works. And at the end of the day, I'm just a systems hacker, really.
System, I love that. Well, you say reality is a system that people rerun unconsciously. I kind of love that idea. But
Mhm.
what's kind of the metric that you use to check if a system is broken? How do you know it? Like, do you use emotion, data, performance? How do you know the system is broken?
It's a combination of things. I would say if you're not, the obvious one is if you're not getting the results that you want or expect, then there's an alignment problem. And it is a feeling thing. Like, have you ever been at lunch with somebody and it just felt off or wrong? There's something just wrong about it. Like I'm not supposed to be here. This isn't right. There's just something, and it may not be about the person. It might be about the situation. I mean, it could be in a work situation beyond boredom or burnout or something. Like there's just something off about this. When I was one of my many previous lives, I was a marketing guy in tech, and I was driving home from an experience that I'd had, and things just felt off. I was like, something's off. And so tuning into, that intuitive kind of thing. We have more than five senses. We talk about the five senses. There's more like 15 and maybe more than that. But I think the intuition piece and feeling into something, um, I think that's a big indicator. And then of course, if you're not getting the results that you expected or want, that's a pretty good indicator that something's out of alignment.
Yeah, speaking of intuition, I actually spent a lot of time living in Asia. So many people know that Vietnam and other places. It's very interesting because I practice mindfulness meditation as part of the daily life, which is now kind of a bit of a fashionable trend here in the States. But if you live that, it actually teaches you to access different senses and more of a subconscious. And they explain intuition really well. It's not just some kind of feeling you get. It's basically it has like your system takes facts,
Hmm.
reproduces them as a feelings that you cannot explain. But actually, we should, I think, tune more in and kind of listen to our intuition and kind of trust that feeling. So it's very interesting. Yeah, I've been reading a couple of books on it on metaphysics and all this. But anyway, um, now it all sounds like great, sounds like amazing, exciting. You sound like you know what you're doing, but actually you charge a lot of money. So I want to know if you're good value for money or not, because people are spending money. It's like coaching is expensive. So how do you justify that to a business owner, that they need coaching? Because usually people say, well, I need to grow my income, I need to go grow my revenue. So how do you tell them, actually, you need to pay me money for rewiring you?
Well, it's a function of value. I mean, if I have to sell this work to somebody, they're not my client anyway.
Hmm.
It's really different because the work that I do and the way that I do it is very disruptive. It's an assault on the ego. It's an assault on the individual's or the team's understanding of reality and what's possible. Humans don't gravitate towards what they want or what is good for them. They gravitate towards what is familiar, whether it's good, healthy, whatever. And so they go with the familiar. And so, I was talking to a client, and he had the same pushback. He said, this is a lot more money than I expected. Now, for the kind of work that I do, I'm not expensive at all. But he said, it's just was more, he was very kind. He said, I'm sure you're worth it, but it's just a lot more than I expected. And I said, all right, let me frame this for you a little bit. Said you can, and he had problems at work, he had problems at home. They all kind of go together. He had a multi seven-figure business. Um, and he said that I told him, I said, look, you can try to work this out like with a therapist, right? Because he's normally like that dollars per hour thing. A lot of people have that framework, and that's not what we
Yeah.
do here.
Hmm.
I said, you can try and work this out in therapy. It's going to cost you probably $300 an hour, and you're going to go once a week. It's going to take you 3 years and it's probably not going to work. You're going to spend 3 years and $45,000, right? $300 a week for 50 weeks a year for 3 years. You're going to spend $45,000 and it's not going to work. So I'm going to do this successfully in 3 months for less than half the price. Now tell me I'm expensive.
Mhm. It's a great point. Actually, my perception of coaches shifted when I remember I was a small business owner, trying to grow my business. And obviously, you're kind of initially spending your savings, and it feels like a bit like, ooh, and everything feels as an expense, right? You don't see things as investment initially. And then I hit like a 1 million turnover and could not, I was growing, growing, growing. Everything was going fast. And suddenly like I just wouldn't grow. Like whatever I did, it just hit that glass ceiling, nothing would change.
Mhm.
And then I met a coach and, he said, well, he offered me a package and I said, I don't think I can afford it. And he said, I don't think you can afford not to. I
Right.
was like, that's an interesting way of seeing it. He said, well, do you want to stay where you are, or do you want to grow? And to grow, you need to make that investment. And that completely shifted my perception of it as
Mhm.
an important help. So now I'm really in a habit of using coaches, consultants, and I think they are an essential part of my success. But yeah,
Mhm.
some people still see it as an expense, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, I would say nobody gets to the Olympics alone.
Yeah.
I mean that's really at the end of the day. And I have a client right now. She had a multi six-figure business, and she had a whole lot of other stuff going on in her life, and there was a lot of friction. She was married to a clinical narcissist, which is a problem. And I don't, I mean, we throw that word around a lot, but I mean like the clinical, like the real deal. So she engaged me for business performance stuff, but we had to deal with a lot of other stuff as well. And so fast forward, she ended up getting a divorce. She got the house in the divorce. She got the house refinanced so that she was better resourced. She got off of her anti-anxiety and her antidepressant medication, so the brain fog was gone and the side effects were gone. She lost 45 unnecessary pounds. We more than doubled her business, and all of that happened in 13 months.
Oh,
Like she wakes up in an alternate reality. It took us a year.
listen, if you can make your client shed 35 pounds, I need you to.
Right? Well,
You knew
so now tell
exactly
me I'm
where his
expensive,
money.
right?
I'm like, ooh, that's why you got me. I'm like, ooh, can shed 35 pounds. No,
Mhm.
well, I just been my third marriage was to a clinical narcissist. Hi, Abby. So I only took it for 7 months and I just couldn't. I just walked out. So I don't know how people do it. And it definitely requires professional help to turn your life around after that, for sure. Um, but like your whole program is kind of about challenging established beliefs,
Mhm.
um, questioning it, challenging, rewiring people. So what's one belief that you held for too long that kind of undermined your results?
But I wasn't good enough.
Oh, so how did you approach
Total
rewiring
imposter
your brain?
syndrome.
So now you think you're amazing, obviously. So how did that happen?
I mean, I still got my stuff, right?
You all do.
Because it is a function, it's a function of choice. Okay. Like, what is a belief? Like, if I hold the belief that I'm not good enough, what is a belief? A belief is a choice that I have not taken responsibility for yet. And the moment that I take responsibility for it, I can believe whatever I want. And my opportunity, or arguably maybe my obligation, is to make the choices that are aligned with the outcome that I'm looking for. Like if I'm a business owner, I'm going to do the prudent things, right? I'm going to do the things that make sense to achieve the outcome. So is thinking that I'm not good enough, is that aligned or misaligned with the outcome of success?
Hmm.
Obviously, it's misaligned. And so I have a choice to make here. And then back to the meditation thing, because meditation is training in awareness. Once I become aware of these things, then it becomes a function of do I have the capacity or capability to make a choice and am I willing to do it? And so at the end of the day, it's a choice.
How do you build someone's confidence, though? I find it one of the most difficult things to do.
Mhm.
People talk about, especially in business, there is this imposter syndrome that
Mhm.
other people think you're successful, and I had it for a while. And you're always worried that people will find out that you actually maybe not as successful, or maybe not as knowledgeable, or not as well connected. So I hear a lot of people struggling with that, but how do you like change it? Is it where neuroscience kicks in? Because it's a very challenging one, to change the way you think about yourself out of all people and build your confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah, you're on a fool's errand to try and build your confidence, so I don't try. The work that I do is very counterintuitive a lot of the time, and
Mhm.
people say that a lot. I need to build my confidence. I said confidence comes from success. It comes from successfully doing something or pulling something off. So you cannot build your confidence in order to do something successfully. You have to do something successfully, and then you get the confidence. So building your confidence is a fool's errand. What I say is build your courage. Like that's what you can build courage. You can't build confidence. You have to achieve in order to have confidence. So
Mm.
you have to build your courage to do it without confidence, and that's a different thing.
Interesting. My approach has always been surrounding myself with amazing friends who just tell me I'm amazing all day long. Everyone who is not on that program just gets fired or not befriended. That works too, but I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
very
is
helpful. Who
no,
you
it is.
surround yourself with is very important. I mean, if you
I
if
agree. So
if you
I'm
can remember,
joking, but I actually fully agree with that. I think at the moment, so a lot of my friends are chosen to, of course, I love them and they're great, ladies, great guys, but mostly these are people who think a very particular way,
Mhm.
who make me very excited about being around them. Is these are people who keep exploring the world. It doesn't need to be business wise, it's travelers, it's people who meditate, people who discover new things. I love being surrounded by it. And I'm very conscious. I don't surround myself by negative people who drain my energy. So for me, it's a lot about mindset and energy. And it just changes your life so much when you're surrounded by these kind of people who encourage you and actually kind of, I don't know, motivate you to do things. Love that.
Yeah, if you hang out with five multimillionaires, you'll be the sixth. If you hang out with five losers, you'll be the sixth. If you hang out with five smokers, you'll be the sixth. With five, morbidly obese people, you'll be the sixth. Like who you run with has a big effect on your reality.
Love it. So I saw you at an event last week,
Mhm.
and you showed up with a half-broken nose and pictures of your cats. So tell us a little bit about yourself, like things people don't know, because everyone knows you're kind of a bad boy. You are known for like your, MMA, you're very direct, you speak your mind, but you also seem to have that cool, soft side that girls find like, with your cats and everything. Tell us a little bit more about Chris King behind closed doors. And is that
Well,
King your last name for real, or is it just like a marketing tag, like
no,
Chris,
that's my
like
name.
Anna Queen? So what's going on?
No, my name is a big responsibility that I don't
Huh?
think I have lived up to. The etymology of it is kind of ridiculous, but yeah, I and this is where I think the embodiment piece comes in is when I do access that softer side. I mean, yes, I'm crazy about my cats. It's ridiculous. I have two, and they're incredible. And when I have a pet that transitions out of this world, I am inconsolable for like 2 weeks. I'm a mess. And and yeah, I do have this tough exterior, I guess. Like I sort of walk through the world as if nothing can affect me, as if I'm never in a bad mood or something. Um, but no, I think I do get affected deeply. I'm not as bulletproof as I like to pretend to be sometimes, I think.
Well, you're good at pretending then. So apart from cats, what else? MMA cats. Give me a couple of keywords to make it more exciting.
Uh, yeah, so I love meditative retreats. I love like a lot of the woo-woo hippie stuff. I also love going out and shooting guns with retired Navy SEALs and Army Special Forces guys, so I do that. I go to the gym every day. I like to feel good in my body, so that feels good. I walk a lot. I do a lot of walking meditations. I'll just leave the house and walk in some random direction. I like novelty, so I don't want to walk the same path all the time. I'm going to go in different directions. So I do a lot of walking.
You should have been born in Europe. We walk everywhere. So when I just moved to the States, people were like, where are you going? I was like, I'm going for a walk. And people like, nowhere to walk. When I
Mhm.
moved to the States, I lived in California, I lived in San Diego for a while, and it's as unwalkable as Florida. You need a car to even cross the road to go to Starbucks.
Yeah.
And when I moved here from Europe, I didn't have a driver's license because we have public transportation, but we walk. We just walk everywhere. Everything that's 30 minutes walk away, you walk.
Mhm.
So I really struggled. I was like, why do you need a car? And it's just this sedentary lifestyle is just so different. So every time I go to Europe, I'm like, woohoo. Every time I come back, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you should have been born in Europe. You just walk and walk and walk.
My
I don't
stepmother is Swiss, and so
know.
yeah, she would say that. And I, you know, I was spending a lot of time in Mexico. I was kind of splitting my time between Los Angeles and all over Mexico. And I would walk probably 3 to 5 miles a day when I was in Mexico. Just, you know, just walking or shopping or whatever. You know, just going to the market is not something you get in the car to do. And so
Why
yeah.
Mexico? Now I'm worried.
What?
Why Mexico?
Uh, well, I have Spanish blood in me, quite a bit of it actually. My grandmother's from Spain, and so there's a lot of Spanish influence down there. I've always felt connected. Um, and uh and yeah, especially during the pandemic, I just started traveling. I traveled more during the pandemic than I had in like 10 years before. I just started going all over the place. And so I spent a lot of time down in Mexico, and I figured, well, if I have to sit in a house and work, well, I can sit, in a house on the beach in the Caribbean and work. So that's what I did right down there, like Riviera Maya area.
Oh, I love Mexico. I'm a diver, so I was like, oh, maybe you.
Oh yeah, I was right there in like Playa del Carmen, right across from uh what's it? What's the name?
Yeah, that neuroscience is in your brain, right? You can't.
You know what? Yeah, I'm still adjusting the time
Access
change
is
here.
brain. Isla de Mujeres,
No, no, further south. What's the name of it? It's like the best diving place on the planet.
the best diving place on the planet is Bali and Sri Lanka, so
Oh,
that's
is it?
unbeatable for sure.
Yeah. Everybody tells me, they ask me, "Oh, have you been diving?" I'm like, not yet. I gotta get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for your time. I'm actually officially rebranding you, Chris
Oh,
Pussycat Del Rey, since you Spanish. So it's not like Chris Bad Boy King, it's Chris Pussycat Del Rey.
oh,
Yeah,
thank you. I don't know where the bad boy cape thing. I can't really follow the rules in my business. Like I said, linear thinking doesn't get exponential gains, but yeah, I don't know where the bad boy thing came from.
it's not a bad thing. You don't need to apologize for that. Just be you.
Right, exactly.
So that was Chris Pussycat Del Rey.